Okay, so here is a real quick overview of Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is about persisting, and it's about completing through to completion. Um, there's a couple things we discussed. We discussed your grit. I had you take a grit assessment prior to coming to class so we could discuss your grit. And I will link a video, a YouTube video that we would have watched in class and discussed in class about what it means to be gritty. But being gritty basically means that you have the ability to persevere to completion your long-term goals, and it's very important to being successful, and you'll see that in the video when we discuss the video.
And improving learning outcomes.
We're not going to do the video right now. These are just some words for affirmation that I wanted to speak into you. You're going to say you have found a way to make it work, and you have found a way to not give up. The question is, what tools do you need? And this is what you need to be thinking about. What are the things that you need to be successful and to complete this educational journey through to completion? Okay? So we'll talk a little bit about universal policies, college policies, and things like that. But data shows that students that connect to a campus are retained. You have your advisor or your counselor, and I just kind of would have talked really briefly about how they're there for you. Academic advising, personal counseling, workshops, someone to talk to. It's free and it's confidential. So you want to make sure that you take advantage of that. We talked about the college catalog and the transfer guide when we talked about the My Degree Path. There are some common policies listed on page 62, also listed here. The Federal Rights and Privacy Act of 1974. That just means that we have some things in place to really protect you. So every time you have to give your student ID number, your social security number, your birth date, your address, all of those things, they're really just in place to protect you. We're not going to give your information to anyone who does not prove that they are who cannot prove that they are you. That includes your parents. So getting parents, phone calls from parents and sick notes and things like that, they really don't fly on the college level. Most schools have placement testing, and the reason they have placement testing is to help you be successful. So many of you or some of you may have placed into an AFP class, which is an Academic Foundations program. And you're probably upset. I don't want to take this class. It doesn't transfer. It doesn't count towards anything. Let me tell you why this class is important. When you left high school and you graduated from high school, you had met the requirements to get a high school diploma. When you enrolled in college, there's a certain level that we expect you to be at, to be college ready, to be successful at the college level. Sometimes there is a gap in between where you left off at high school and where you are starting at college, or what we at the college tend to recognize as college level. So for example, if algebra is not your strong suit, you struggled through math all through high school, you're probably not going to want to come into college and be thrown into a calculus class, never having taken a pre-calculus class. So there's a gap there. You left off with algebra 2 or with geometry and you're like, I'm good, I have met my graduation requirements. But at the college level, we're saying, well, you need to be at calculus level. So there's a gap there. If we throw you into the calculus class, you're not going to be successful. Not because you can't do it, but it's because you have not been prepared in the right way to be able to have the skill sets to pass that class. You have not learned a lot of the theories from algebra 2 and math analysis and pre-calculus and all those different classes to be able to be successful in calculus. So there's a gap there. What these academic foundation courses do is that they give you the skill sets you need so that you can be successful in the college class, the college level class, so that when you're taking the class that transfers to that four-year institution, you're not getting a D- in it. You're actually able to get an A and get a B+ in that class because you had the proper opportunities to learn the skill sets you need to be successful in that area, in that subject area. So for those of you who were placed in academic foundation courses, don't be discouraged. That class really is important to setting the foundation for your success here at GRCC, but also anywhere else you plan to go, whether that's into the workforce or to a four-year institution. So take that seriously. Don't just blow that off and feel like it doesn't count for anything, because that information you are learning is filling the gap from where you left high school and where we would like for you to be successful in college. Okay. Most and the placement testing really kind of determines where you are and whether or not you need those classes. Most colleges have strict add and drop dates, strict classroom attendance policies, a strict refund policy. One of the things you need to know about GRCC is that if you have not dropped that class before the first time it is met, you will not get a 100% refund. That's very important. And then we pretty much all have academic dishonesty policies. Just do your own work and turn in your own work. Okay. The book talks about, what your instructors expect from you on page 64. Make sure you read that over. Student services that are available to you. You'll figure out what the student services are when you're doing the scavenger hunt. And I talked about developmental ed courses. And then for adult students, any adult students who have had some life experience in between high school and coming to GRCC, definitely check out page 72 because there's some pretty good stuff on there for you. And it's really good for all students, not just adult students. Okay, we're going to skip over this. Knowing your why and overcoming intimidation. Would you run a race that has no finish line? I know I certainly wouldn't, because I feel like eventually I'm going to get tired and I'm going to stop. Now, I had a student challenge me and say, well, those are, time markers. So I know I'm headed towards my goal when I hit these time markers. But the question is, well, how do you know which goal is what? Hold on, y'all. My baby's crying. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so we were talking about running a race with no finish line. You're going to get tired, you're going to give up because there's no end goal in sight. There may be, place markers that show you, okay, this is how far you've come, but there's no end goal. So what is your why? That is the reason you are going to finish this race. Explore, don't be afraid to explore. What's the worst that could happen? You find out that you're headed the wrong way, or you find out you're headed the right way. Okay. Worst thing is that you find out you're headed the wrong way, and then you make the adjustments. At least you find out earlier than finding out when you get there. Again, be honest with yourself and stay motivated. And we'll talk about motivation a little bit more with chapter 2. Okay. And that is all that I really wanted to cover for chapter 3.